Batgirls, issue 11, Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad writing with Neil Gouge on the art. So I'm reading this one. We still have the serial killer on the loose. More and more, it seems like it's Riddler. But we have like a vigil outside. We got Steph and Cass watching to try and see if like the killer shows up. But yeah, no, this was a solid issue. You have Montoya freaking out about the killings, and she's determined not to ask any Bat family members for help. But there's a cop who like sneaks up to the roof and actually turns the bat signal purple to specifically call Batgirl. So Babs shows up and goes, "Oh, purple's a nice touch," and he's like, "Look, here's everything we have," because we know Babs from the previous issues wanted to look at all the clues that the killer left. So this guy gives her all the details, and she's like, "Hey, next time you can just use this phone," and gives him a phone, and he's like, "Wait, next time?" So it seems like Babs is kind of like making herself a new Commissioner Gordon for, as it were, for herself, which could be a fun time. But yeah, a lot of this issue though is actually some downtime where Steph and Cass are going to the zoo, and Steph's invited along the guy Kyle that she met at the library, and he brings, I think it's his little sister who's called Maps, who's a total nerd, but she's really, she gets along really well with Cass. She plans out everything, and she's even planned when the employees at the zoo change shifts and stuff so they can go through secret areas without being spotted. So she's a little bit of a nutcase, but she's so enthusiastic about everything and seeing all the animals that it's kind of endearing. While Steph is talking to Kyle, and they're having their meet cute style moments. I will say, like, I think the art does a decent job of keeping up the style and tone of the book. I do think the daytime stuff at the zoo maybe suffers the most because it goes a bit flat. The colours are a bit more muted. It doesn't quite have the same pop and vibrancy that most of the book usually does, even under Gouge's art. Here I felt like Steph's face in particular, when she's just in like her civvies, it kind of feels like it becomes more of a different art style almost. And to the point where there's a couple of panels where I actually said to myself, "Who's this guy?" And it turned out it was Steph, because I don't know, I was getting like a long-haired surfer dude from her. So I do have to critique the art a little bit in that sense, but it's pleasant enough. I actually, Cass with the little sister was a lot more fun, because it felt kind of like a mini Cass in a lot of ways, and Cass was kind of like starting to like her. They end up finding Firefly in like a cave, and Cass like puts on just her cowl with a cape to go up and check on him. And it turns out that Riddler's been, I don't know, been mean to him or whatever. But yeah, so Maps is like, like, I won't tell my brother about anything. And she's like, "Hey, was that Batman stuff?" And she's like, "Yeah, it was Batman stuff. And you helped me, so thank you." So it feels like Cass is getting this little, not sidekick per se, but just someone that she can kind of relate to. And she's like, "Hey, are we best friends now, Cass? Or maybe second best friends, since you already have Steph?" I don't know. It was all very sweet.
That's funny.
It was all very sweet and likable. And the Batgirls are kind of looking at the clues and stuff. But yeah, but they basically figure out where he was staying. And they actually go in and confront Riddler without like chasing all the clues that he's left behind, which just really upsets him. One of the things to find actually is that the apartment they go to belongs to a woman, but the woman, if she's still alive, is 107 years old. So it kind of sounds like someone's been keeping the paperwork going, even though she's dead. And sure enough, they actually find her just sitting in the attic, a skeleton, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just sitting around. It's like, okay, all right, we're having fun. But yeah, Riddler's all like, "Oh, you're supposed to follow all the clues to get to me, not just like sneak in like this." So he's kind of pissed about that. But yeah, so it ends with a cliffhanger of them confronting Riddler, and he basically threatens to kill them. It's, I had a decent bit of fun with this issue. I don't think it's as solid as the last couple that I really, really enjoyed. I think part of it is because the art at times feels a little bit flatter. Even Riddler on the last page, it feels like he's he's got a really flat, cartoony face that feels very different to like what the book's been up until this point. Don't get me wrong, the book's always had kind of a cartoony look to it. That's kind of part of the charm of it. But I do think that while Gouge did a good job of mimicking what the book felt like before his first couple issues, it feels like it's maybe transitioned a little bit to just being more like Neil Gouge's normal art, which I do think is a little disappointing just because it was so stylistic before and had a lot of angles to it and sharp edges and kind of a pointiness to it that kind of made it feel like its own vibe, that this feels a bit more muted and just kind of, I don't know, typical, I guess. But yeah, I did enjoy the issue though. I'm enjoying these characters. I like Babs getting the new ally in the police force is kind of a fun little bit. Cass having this new sidekick in Maps, who I hope comes back and has more stuff with her, I think should be a good time. Riddler being a serial killer, I don't even know how I feel about that necessarily. I think part of it's a timing problem. This being just a little bit after that Riddler One Bad Day issue kind of hurts it because there's no way it's going to live up to the Riddler in that version. So, you know, it kind of hurts by being this cartoony version of him so close to that. But that said, though, I would probably still give this a reasonable 7.5. Just, you know, art's maybe not quite up to what it could be, and definitely is more of a downbeat issue in some ways. But, you know, still a solid part of the run, so 7.5 is what I'd give it. There was actually, I want to say like there was a little bit of narration, which it was definitely, there wasn't much of it, which is good because it's not been that great typically, is the third person narration. But there was one little bit in here that I actually kind of liked, if I remember right. Yeah, where was it? Oh, I'm forgetting now. Because there hadn't been any in quite a while, and then it just kind of came in towards the end, and it was kind of like a nice witty sort of coming of it. I don't know. I can't find it, so you'll just have to take my word for it that there was a fun beat in it.